Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. All right, I poured a couple more zinc nuggets. This one almost looks like it could be a dinosaur. Looks like a lion of some sort. I like this so much that I'm gonna look into ordering an even larger pot to get bigger amounts of zinc to melt and pour. And I can't wait. I This one had about 6 rolls of pennies, 6 minus the copper ones that I pulled out. So maybe 5 rolls of pennies made one of these. So you can only imagine if you had a whole box of pennies that you can melt in the same pot, right? I can't wait to see how that's gonna turn. But keep praying for me because the God of Dislikes has been blessing me a lot. I was gonna go to a karaoke event today, but at the last minute, my mouth wasn't feeling right. I have a little bit of a sore, which is really annoying because tomorrow I have a tutoring to do. So pray that I feel a little bit better. I've learned if I have mouth sores like this and I go into a conversation, to start by apologizing that, hey, sorry if I'm going to be slow. I got a little bit of a mouth sore. It's better for people to know the context of where you're coming from rather than being surprised, especially with adults. In the classroom at the college or at a job interview or even on a first date, it's probably better to start with that. With kids, it's a little bit trickier. Sometimes kids see that as a way they could be annoying. So use your good judgment with kids. But with adults, it's almost always better to start by apologizing for that. Um, all right. Please continue to pray for my art. This is going to be real easy for me to sell because the cost of materials is pretty light, and I almost always pour something successful on the first try, right? I can't say that about my other art projects, right? So very little loss, and I can't wait to figure out how to do copper as well. I hope to one day do gold. I saw a YouTube video where somebody melted 1 or 2 kilograms of gold and poured something just like that. Mark my words, but in my lifetime sometime, gold will be just as cheap as any of the other metals that are just as rare as gold, right? So I often laugh about how there's quite a few metals as rare as gold that we could buy just like they were base metals. I think gold will join those ranks one day because you got to remember why gold is valuable. It's valuable only because it is a form of money, right? Dollars and euros and yen, they're very common things, right? They're valuable because people will accept them as money. Same thing with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is everywhere, right? But one of these days, I think the concept of money will become less and less relevant because we'll have less and less scarcity, right? So, for example, I traveled to Poland 7 years ago. Now, as soon as you leave the downtown Warsaw area, you go outside the city on the train, you have to pay to use the restrooms there, right? Because restroom services are still very scarce in that part of the world, right? They're not so scarce once you get to downtown Warsaw, right? Who's to say one of these days other services might not become like that, right? Where it's the cost of charging for them is worth more than they're worth, right? Someday food could be like that. Someday real estate could be like that, right? And so I suspect in the long run, the concept of obviously in the short run, there's ups and downs, but in the long run, the concept of money, hence gold, will become less and less relevant. And I think gold will be just as cheap as all of the other metals on the periodic table that occur at that kind of level, right? Which is a lot of elements, by the way, even ones that you use every day, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.